Eclipse in here. Hi, Emily. Emily Altomare joining us here this morning.
Good
you are
morning.
ready to go.
I am ready to go. We're all ready to go. It's Eclipse weekend, baby.
Look at you. You're fired up over this.
Yes. I can't get excited about March Madness. That's too frequent. But once in a lifetime Eclipse.
Wow, really?
I can
Caitlin
bring
Clark?
some enthusiasm
How
for
about
it.
Caitlin Clark? You watch her play?
I know, but I
it's
apparently am supposed to
fantastic.
know and have been watching her for the last 4 years and be very excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for her. It's always nice when people's dreams are coming true.
Well, now, all right, I'm going to fuel you a little bit here because I
Okay.
cursed you out the other day when I was coming into town and saw that PennDOT had put
PennDOT sign?
Yeah. So, you corrected me last time you were on.
Uh-oh.
I'm not saying this isn't a big deal,
Okay.
but there's my thought process on this, and then there's everybody else because you've been involved with a lot of meetings and conference calls, and especially Erie.
Right.
They're really gearing out. I mean,
Absolutely. And they need to be.
And our whole region, though, is expecting an influx of people. You talk to people at the Caboose Motel, and they're packed, and everybody's packed around here.
All the Venango County hotels are booked.
All of them.
Like, so you've got like Josephine's Bed and Breakfast, which is just like yards from the PennDOT sign.
Yeah.
All the way down to the Emlenton Travel Plaza, like that truck stop.
Yeah.
Everybody's booked.
I've
Solid.
read stories where, like, Philadelphia school districts are calling school districts around here to see if they can bus kids and use their parking lots to kind of park. And I read some school districts are charging fees for parking. And,
Hey,
I mean, everybody's sort of taking advantage of this, right?
It seems that way, but also I feel like I haven't seen the gouging where we thought we might. Like, there are places that are selling your Eclipse glasses, which you absolutely need to have specific safety glasses, not sunglasses, not prescription glasses, but Eclipse glasses. You can still pick a pair up for like $2, which doesn't feel, I mean, granted, if you would have saved yours from 2017 or bought them months ago, they'd be pennies, but still $2 for the sake of being able to experience this safely and protect your eyes. That's not bad. So, and I haven't heard of, like, again, Venango County hotels selling for, nights for $800 or more, which is something we are hearing from larger cities in the path of totality. So
Okay.
it's okay so far. But I mean, absolutely, it's a weekend where money can be made.
Well, so, and let's start with the weekend because a lot of these folks are coming in today, tomorrow, and spending the weekend in our region, which is fantastic. So you may see increased crowds at your favorite restaurant.
I think you should be expecting, especially Sunday afternoon, expect lines. Or if you were, if that's your usual evening to, go out with the family, might want to be a little more patient. You might have to wait for a table for a change.
Have you had phone calls or conversations with restaurant owners? Are they geared up for this? Are they, if you close on Sunday at 4 or 5, are you staying open a little later?
So we've been doing that just this week, actually, like touching base with some restaurants. Quality Inn in Franklin doesn't have a restaurant right now. The Liberty Street Ale House closed. Taco Inc. has not opened yet. So when I was dropping off these materials that I've shared with you that we'll talk about later, they had a real concern of, we have like 80 people checking in on Sunday, and they're all, probably going to want something to eat or be interested in what their options are. So I was kind of calling around just Liberty Street and seeing who was going to be open, what their hours were going to be, and being able to share that information with the hotel and get it out there so that, when people come to the region, we want them to have a good experience. We want them to be able to find a good meal, have an enjoyable time. So there were a couple of restaurants that were planning to be open different hours than normal so that they could kind of take advantage of that Eclipse crowd and also put more staff on so that it would be a little smoother for everybody. So one of those being Trails to Ales in Franklin. So thumbs up to those guys for taking it seriously, getting prepared, being ready to deal with that influx of visitors to the area.
And there's an understanding, too, of the path, right? So if you're in Franklin, you're not going to be seeing it.
Well, you're going to be seeing it. You're not going to be experiencing totality. So Franklin's going to be like 98%. So there's still going to be something. It's still going to get dark. They definitely still need their glasses, all of that. It just won't be as intense. And you look at that chart I shared with you, and it's made its way around the internet, and we're distributing that. The timing of totality. So for Titusville gets 51 seconds because we're on that eastern southern edge of that angled path of totality. Erie actually gets 3.5 minutes of totality because they're more centrally located. And then the same is true if you go further north and west, again, on that angled path of totality. So communities in Ohio will kind of have the same experience we're having that are on that same edge of totality versus the more central you are, the more totality you get. And totality is the amount of absolute like coverage and darkness.
Well, there's always darkness here. But real quick, for our viewing audience, you mentioned Erie is really the prime spot.
In Pennsylvania,
total,
yes,
for
absolutely.
Your totality, your total duration.
Yes.
And then you've got Northeast, Waterford, Edinburgh. Our friends in Edinburgh watching. You've got 3 minutes and 18 seconds to enjoy this.
It's
totality.
amazing how much the time changes with just slight shifts. So that's part of that idea of like if you're in Oil City or Franklin, like you want to move a little north and west to be able to be more in the path and have the more complete eclipse experience.
Yeah. So Edinburgh, Linesville, Cambridge Springs, Meadville, you guys are going to be right sort of in the middle. Corey, Cochranton, Shakelyville, Greenville, and then Titusville, as you said, with 51 seconds. So, but don't let that confuse you because you said, I mean, that's total darkness. We're going to be experiencing for what? An hour, the whole process?
I think they say like 20 after 2 and then to like, and then it goes beyond 3:30, but then like that's like getting brighter. So, it's that idea of moon and sun, which way you want to like cross over to cover up. And so then once they go the opposite way, then it's brighter until you have just a little sliver. So there will still be like a little sliver of moon covering the sun at like 3:30, something like that is when it ends. But the totality is what is like the ultimate, most obvious darkness and alignment.
A lot of preparation has gone into this, and it's funny because there's some people have said, yeah, we've been talking about this since 2017. We've been talking about this since, last fall.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have a family friend who lives in Florida, came up in the fall to visit. And he said, I'll be back in April. Oh, why are you coming back? And he mentioned it, but we didn't process it. And then it's like, oh, that's why he's coming up.
And I think part of it is because you hear about eclipses all the time, and there's the eclipse in October, but that was an annular eclipse, not a total solar eclipse. There's eclipses with the moon, like at 3 a.m. that we never get to see because we're either asleep or it's cloudy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think there's this sense of they're not a big deal, but that's why a total solar eclipse is a big deal because this is the middle of the day. This is going to be like, twilight taking place at 3 p.m. And because we are in the path of totality, we here in Northwest Pennsylvania are going to experience as much as you can experience, whereas those other events or other places, for instance, the 2017 solar eclipse happened, the path of totality was the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So we weren't seeing that spectacular of an event in our region. And a lot of people didn't travel for it because it's not their thing. But here, you don't have to travel. You're right here. You're going to see what's going on. So it's exciting.
So can we have you kind of, because our viewing audience varies greatly here in terms of locations, start with Erie, because there's obviously, and I was joking with you a little bit last time you were on, and you corrected me for why I should be joking about this. They're gearing up like at 8 a.m. if you're traveling on 90 or 79,
7 a.m. even.
7?
To be prepared that they can reduce the speed limit if traffic congestion gets to the point where that needs to be done for people's safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see.
And so that's a great segue into
the
card and 511pa.com/eclipse24. This is a product of PennDOT. It's a website and an app that's going to be giving updated real-time traffic conditions, speed limit, reductions, road closures, all of that stuff. And it's not just Erie based, it's the whole state of Pennsylvania. 511 PA exists all the time to give you like construction and like bridge closures and stuff like that. But they've made this special Eclipse page as part of it because they recognize that there are going to be so many people traveling from outside of the area who aren't going to be familiar with alternate routes. And, you know, just different things like that, making sure they have as much information as possible to be safe and, you know, keep everybody moving as easily as they possibly can. But again, you know, these are numbers that we don't see ever in terms of traffic volume. So that's a resource that I keep harping on for people to know. We took these around to all the area hotels to distribute them. It's on our Oil Regional Alliance's Facebook page, but also website. If it's not on the Facebook page yet, it'll be on there later today. I think it's up already, because we really want people to have access to that resource and encourage people as you run into them in your daily lives this weekend, especially, you know, people who are traveling for the eclipse. Let them know about it if they don't already, just because that'll be hopefully a big time saver, potentially a lifesaver. So we want to make sure everybody's aware of that resource.
So just real quick, if you're Edinburgh, Meadville, for example, where you have exits from 79, just be cautious of those areas, correct?
Right. And if you're, you know, just living life and not doing the eclipse thing, just try and avoid those things.
Those
like
areas.
Maybe, yeah, don't be out on the roads on Monday. And especially the traffic will pick up as we get closer, of course, to Monday afternoon. But then what we've seen as a slow build of traffic over 2 or 3 days, it's being described as like when the 4th of July fireworks end. You know, you see that last light, everybody honks the horn, claps their hands, gets in the car to go home, and then everybody's sitting for an hour in gridlock trying to get out of the parking lot. But imagine that across the whole city of Erie, you know, extending east and south, quite a swath. So they've been estimating up to 12-hour traffic delays. That's kind of based
Holy
on
smokes.
Yeah. I mean, in a 12-hour traffic delay, that's like bring a lunch, you know, like pack a snack.
Well,
wow.
Yeah,
So, I mean, and hopefully it doesn't get that bad. But, I mean, those are also based off of 2017 numbers and what they were seeing. And there's so many more people already living in the path of this eclipse compared to the 2017 eclipse, because it passed through a lot of, like, you know, the northwest and west, like areas that are less densely populated.
Gotcha.
But this is going from Texas through Canada, so it's hitting like just east of St. Louis, but you're hitting a lot more cities, and it's just more populated area in general.
Let's do this real quick. You're watching The Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Emily Altomare with us here this morning, the Oil Region Alliance, gearing up for Monday. The rack cards, these are fantastic. It's funny because you look at it, and they've got these tips, right? Plan ahead, headlights on, exit highway to view eclipse. But they're saying don't pull over.
They don't want you to pull over on the side of the road. They want you to actually get off the highways, get into a parking space. You know, they don't want you pulling over, because it's all about the congestion of those roadways.
Yeah.
So they don't, and you know how, like, if somebody's pulled over, then you got to like gawk and see what's going on, and it slows everything down. And they want to be able to also be able to access, you know, the berms in case of emergencies. So keeping roadways clear is going to be a really important part of it.
You can't at 3 o'clock decide to, hey, let's go down here and watch.
You can do that on foot.
Maybe
Maybe on bike. Seriously though,
but,
yeah,
like, you're not going to be able
this
to.
This is not a last minute hop in the car and try and go anywhere. And again, you might be able to get away with that in Titus. You might be able to get away with it in Titusville. You might not. Like we don't know. We can only kind of speculate based on, again, 2017 numbers and what we're hearing. But like, again, going back to the folks in Franklin, like they're talking about it like Applefest, but it's going to be more congested than Applefest. Granted, you don't have people gathering in downtown Franklin like you do for Applefest, but you have people coming from further and filling more of the space than than for that event. So it's going to be really hard to judge. And then the hard part about it is once it happens and we know, we won't really have a reason to apply that knowledge in the future because this event isn't going to happen again. So
for a long time.
We can learn some lessons. Well, I mean, here, like not in our lifetimes, we're not going to be in the path of totality again.
So I like how you're not going to leave anything for future generations.
I'll leave it on like a floppy disk. Someone will have to like go back like multiple generations of technology to be able to access. But
on the record, I like this because it says exit highway to view eclipse. Be alert. Wear proper eyewear. Oh, and by the way, keep PA beautiful.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, I think that's fair. Like, you don't want, we don't want people from out of town to come and leave their garbage, like their chip bags and their pop cans that they had a snack while they waited for the eclipse, and just like leave it on the ground. So as locals, set a good example and help keep things clean and nice and encourage others to do the same.
You know, this
that's important, Luke.
This graphic would look so much better if we could find one more thing to put on. Let's keep PA beautiful. No, I'm joking.
Also, I didn't make this. This is
know.
coming from PennDOT. So when Luke gets multiple speeding tickets in the next few days, it's not my fault.
I'm joking. But no, it's
it
great
is good advice. And I mean, and like, so obviously if you're not on a major highway, but it's getting close to the time of the eclipse, they really do want you to get off the road, get parked in a parking lot. Definitely don't stop on highways and roadways. And if you are traveling and the eclipse is happening, don't be gawking around at the eclipse, even though it is a once-in-a-lifetime thing and we really want you to see it. We don't want you to cause accidents, and we don't want anyone to get hurt. So
what's been the reaction from the business owners you've talked with? Because, I mean, here's an opportunity to take advantage of an influx of people.
Yeah, and
Are they on board, or is it kind of hit or miss?
I think it's hit or miss. There are some, and I think also watching the progression of Erie businesses, like that's really happened. So like now there are bars with drink specials, and the wineries have a special eclipse tour that they put together for this weekend. So I think because there's obviously totality, the more centrally located, they're getting national press coverage. They've encouraged. So like there's a lot more happening in that bigger area, and I think that's building the excitement more. Down here, it is more hit or miss. Again, hotels are full, so that's wonderful. But getting restaurants to be on board and really celebrating it, we're not seeing that as much as I would have hoped. And we'll see. Maybe people will really like jump on it like this weekend, and we'll still see like a surge. But like Walmart has special eclipse T-shirts. Visit Erie has wonderful themed merchandise and cool, their logos, their graphics, their T-shirts, their stuff like that. At the Oil Region Alliance, we produced our own little eclipse viewing card. Oh, sorry, you were cutting away just as I was showing you something. So we had these actually last year in September and October, and we're handing them out at events with the date. It ended up being a way to like start to get people thinking about the eclipse. But these are, the official safe has the right code on it for viewing. If you haven't heard that already, there have been some scams and issues with people selling knockoff eclipse glasses that are not safe.
There's a way you can tell, right?
Well, there's the code that goes on the back, the ISO, and it says that it meets the requirements, the number 12312-2, which is good, but if you were gonna make knockoff eclipse glasses, wouldn't you put that same number on it? Like,
I guess.
I don't like. It's not like the $20 bills that you can like run a highlighter on or something. Like, I will say though, if you get eclipse glasses or viewers and you are indoors and you try to look through them and it looks like you can't see through them, that's how they're supposed to be designed. It won't work with artificial light, so you got to take them outside, and then you will see that you really can see through them. Look at this graphic. I just want to watch all of your graphics.
I know. Man, that line's tight. If you're in Titusville, you're right on the edge.
Right on the edge. But again, 51 seconds. So not nothing.
Right.
And that makes the difference. And again, for those of us who live here or live close by, like, why not take advantage of it? And some people are, still moving even further into the path. They're kind of taking that approach of it's a once in a lifetime event, and I'm within an hour or so of really experiencing that like 3.5 minutes of total darkness. So I'm going to make the trip to Erie or, places north and south that are still in the pack.
Well, if you're like Pittsburgh and you're coming up, you might be saying, boy, Erie's going to be packed, but hey, Meadville is
absolutely
a great spot.
And that's, we're seeing that for sure with like people who are choosing to stay in our area, whether it was a conscious choice because they didn't want to be in the crowd or pay those prices, or just because they missed the boat on those, more centrally located hotels. But so they're staying further out. But yeah, absolutely. Like you can certainly find paths along the way where you can still experience the eclipse, but not necessarily be as congested. But chances are, even in those cases, you're still going to experience a lot of the travel congestion.
Busy weekend for you? Will people be calling you with questions, or is it going to be?
We try to put all that information out there. Really, like, again, 511 is where you want to go for traffic. And then I've encouraged restaurants and businesses to make sure that their hours are up to date online, so that, if someone's visiting from out of town, they pull up their phone, they're kind of flipping through, Yelp and Facebook and seeing where to eat or where to shop or what to do. We want to make sure that information is accurate. I want people to always keep their business information accurate online, but I know that it's hard, and we, sometimes between holiday hours and we're not quite into that full tourist season of spring and summer, but keeping your information updated is big. So no, I'm not expecting a lot, but hopefully everybody's reaching out to those proper resources. There's a ton of information on our oilregion.org's tourism page as well. You've got the Oil Region Astronomical Society having events this weekend, so that information is on their website, but ours too. Viewing at Drake Well, they've got buy one get one free admission on Monday when they're not usually open, but that's 10 to 4. Ticeville Iron Works is having a party from noon to 5. Then you've got 2 Mile Run County Park is giving away popcorn, and they've got lots of space for people to park cars and get out and hang out and enjoy the park while they're waiting and watching the eclipse. 2 miles not in the path to totality, but it's still getting you close, and especially if you're like, we'll see how we do. And there's also a lot of people waiting to see what the forecast says, and like that'll change.
It'll change. Emily, good to see you. See you in a couple weeks.
Okay.